Goose here, going live. If you watched my latest video where we escorted the Vietnam Memorial Wall, they're having a ceremony here today, and the wall's up, as you can see here behind me. I'm just gonna live stream the ceremony since I'm here. I wanted to come out here and actually see it when it was set up. I couldn't help set it up because I was working, but just wanted to live stream. I didn't even know there was gonna be a ceremony. I was just coming out here just to look at it, get some pictures and stuff, and then there's a ceremony that's about to take place, so I'll live stream. I'm gonna walk up on the wall and show you guys right before the ceremony starts, so you can just see what it looks like. These are all the names of people who were killed in Vietnam, so they're never forgotten. This is a traveling wall. So I didn't know that, I just came to take pictures and check it out, and I didn't know they were going to do a ceremony, so since the ceremony is about to start, I figured I'd live it. So yeah, but this, if you're here in Hawaii, this memorial wall is up here at West Oahu until the 19th, and it's 24/7, so you can come out here anytime. Derek Henderson, private. November 10th, 1949 to November 4th, 1968. Semper Fi, Devil Dog. Korea and Vietnam. It's one hard motherfucker right there. Try to get out of the sunlight so the sun is to our backs. If you're just jumping on live, this is a ceremony for the traveling Vietnam Memorial Wall. It's about to kick off here shortly. Appreciate you guys jumping on. As you can see here, here's the wall. Here's a color guard right here. These are ROTC high school cadets. They're not active duty Marines, but they look sharp nonetheless. This wall contains the names of all the service members who died in Vietnam, so they're never forgotten. So let me go show you guys what it looks like up close. The ceremony is about to kick off though. is how their names are inscribed. Get out of the way. Every single one of these names died in Vietnam. Rest in love to all of them. Should be starting any moment now. Thank you for joining on the live. If you just jumped on, this is the Vietnam Memorial Wall. It's a traveling wall. It's here in Hawaii. I encourage you, if you're in Hawaii or if you're going to be in Hawaii from now until the 19th, come out here to University of Hawaii, West Oahu, and come check this out. It's open 24/7 until the 19th.
Good afternoon, one more time. The truth has not changed, so we're about to get started. So if you have not already, please silence your cell phones or turn them off so we do not interrupt the ceremony. Thank you. As your Master of Ceremonies, my name is Ted Allgaier. I'm a 30-year Navy veteran, and it's a true privilege for me to be at a ceremony that honors so many true American heroes. Before we begin the ceremony, I do want to thank a few of the sponsors that made it possible for us to do this here on Hawaii. Our host, University of Hawaii from Western Oahu, whose Vice Chancellor David McDonald is here with us today. Thank you, sir. Our title sponsor, Pesha, without their help, we would have never been able to get this wall here, so thank you to them as well. A special thanks to Resident Inn Kapolei, AARP, and then the 3 Elks organizations that are on island here. The Kailua Elks, who everyone knows Sue and Eddie right now, and then 616 Honolulu, and then the Pearl City Lodge. Without all of us working together, again, it wouldn't happen. And all the volunteers that have signed up and have put this thing together, put the seats out here, sitting at the table 24/7. This is open, and we have people here 24/7. So I want to like to give the volunteers a big round of applause. We're going to go ahead and begin with Hawaiian Blessing by Kuma Ike Manulam. Would everyone who is able to please stand and remain standing?
e e Hawaii I ka ho'omanao na ino ka pā hanohano na kua Hawaii I ko'i Vietnam na uhane I hanau I tā aloha na mea pa'a I ke kuli ana na mea I aloha I kā ohana na mea I aloha kā aina na mea I aloha I kā kanaka e kū nei ko lākou mana ma luna o nā pali ma lalo o nā au ma ka moana ma nā ha'awi ma ke lewa e hanau ai ka makani ma ka honua e ho'omau ai ka o nā pō, nā lā, nā ino I kūne nā kaua I ka pā mā ka aina au nā maka I hi'a I ka velevele nā lima I pa'a ka kahua nā manao I aloha I ka ohana nā manao I aloha I ka lahui e ola mau ko la kōi e ola ko la kou uhana e ola mau ko la kou hana I te ke aloha e ho'i ka ike o e ho'omanao I ka mea I ala e ho'o laulea I nā mea I kū nei e mālama I ka pono I hanau aloha no aloha no aloha no e ola mau e ola mau e ola mau remember the names of this wall of honor to the Hawaiian warriors who stood in Vietnam, whose spirits were born of aloha, who upheld responsibility, family, land, and people. Their power stands on cliffs, beneath clouds, in oceans and streams, in the winds, in the earth that sustains life. Through nights, days, and storms, through battles fought on foreign land, their hands and hearts remain steadfast for Ohana and Aina. May their names, spirits, and deeds live forever. Recall the knowledge of the past. Honor those who have passed. Celebrate those who stood and preserve what is right. Love, indeed. Love, indeed. Love, forever. Live. Forever live. Forever live.
Please remain standing for the invocation, the following and presentation of colors, and the singing of the national anthem and hymn E.
Continue to enjoy the blessings
Please be seated. I would like a round of applause to the Samoan Gospel Heralds for the most beautiful rendition of both songs. When I first got up here, I spoke a little bit about being honored to be among so many heroes, and we actually have a true American hero who's also going to be our keynote speaker tonight. So at time, all who can, I would like all currently active duty service, all veterans, to please stand if you can, and we're going to render honors to our Medal of Honor awardee, retired Sergeant Major Alan Kellogg.
Sergeant Major
For those of
Kellogg.
you,
Oh my God.
Who don't know, you can please be seated now. Thank you all.
I didn't know he was
That
going
was
to be
a
here.
Capital A High School junior ROTC who did a wonderful job. It gives me my great pleasure to introduce the driving force off island who actually helped everyone everywhere in the U.S. and internationally to host an event like this. Tim Tates, he's the Director of Outreach. The Director of Outreach at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. He is a man with seemingly unlimited amount of energy to do what he does. He's extremely passionate about the Wall That Heals program, and he provides a wealth of knowledge and experience to all the organizations hosting this event, as I said, all over the country and internationally as well. There is absolutely no way we could have brought the wall here without his help and guidance. Tim, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ted. I think if I knew more than a half an hour before I was going to come up here, I would have actually put on pants. So my apologies. I'm obviously your clown entertainment for the night tonight. It gives me great pleasure and honor to be here today, and the introduction truly is without merit. Bringing together an event like this and making it happen in a community, no matter whether the community is here in Capital A or in Maine or anywhere else in the United States, is a community endeavor. It takes people with a vision who years ago sat down and said, this is a wonderful thing in Hilo, this is a wonderful thing in Maui, but we want this on our island. And they worked tirelessly for 2 years to make certain that it was a reality. And certainly, Sue and Eddie deserve the ramrod center points of that atom that made that happen. So let's give them a round of applause. But I guarantee you, and they heard it firsthand from me when they first approached me, if you come to me with 2 people and say, I want to bring this to my community, it's not coming, because it takes dozens and dozens and hundreds of people to make it happen. If you were here for my orientation speech for our volunteers a couple nights ago, or you came back from one of our tours, you know that we talk about the impetus, the need to build the wall that heals. We talk about the fact that it's a 3/4 scale replica, a replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. And it's named after the founding book that our founder, Jan Scruggs, wrote to put together a memorial. The book he wrote on all the effort that it took from 1979 to 1982 to go past all of the criticism, all of the people who said it could never be done, to make that a memorial. And because of the dedication of the memorial in Washington, D.C., and the ingenuity and the die-hard resolve of those Vietnam veterans, we went on to create memorials to the Korean War, to World War II, 100 years after World War I to World War I. They broke ground on the Persian Gulf Memorial, and they're in design and fundraising stages for the post 9/11 Memorial. But when you look at those memorials, when you go to the National Mall in Washington, D.C., you're going to notice something that's different about this. Even though all those memorials came after that, and it's different in the name. And through the name, it's different in its symbolism and its meaning. It's not called Vietnam War Memorial. It's not called Vietnam Attack Memorial or anything else to that. This is Vietnam Veterans Memorial. And through that term and through that design, it encompasses and includes everyone. Tonight, as we gather at this ceremony, we gather to recognize the different classes of people who are brought together by this memorial. We recognize and realize that the public that comes and takes part in this, to experience it firsthand, get to learn about the memorial, get to learn about the war, and understand that maybe their protestation about the war, maybe their animosity towards those veterans, maybe their misunderstanding about this war was misguided, perhaps not in the right way. And it allows those Gold Star family members who were grasping and struggling with the situation that they were dealt, the reality that they grew up in a household where their father wasn't there to take them to their games. Their father or mother, well, their father wasn't there to join them on the field. They had those years without it. It brings together those families and those loved ones and those friends of those who are still waiting to come home, waiting for that closure, waiting to understand what happened to them, so we can know with certainty their final days, their final hours, and welcome them home. This is the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. When people sit there and say, well, wait a second, it only lists the 58,281 men and women who died, refer back to that title, because there were 3 million who served there. And this memorial, whether it be the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C., or the Wall That Heals, is the memorial that honors and allows those people to all gather together and recognize those they served beside, to gather together and recognize those that they wait to return home, to gather together and remember those moments and those missed opportunities that they had because their loved one was taken from them. This is the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. We have been blessed in our communities to have our leaders, to have our scout leaders, to have our parents, friends, and everyone around us tell us the stories that they had in Vietnam once they started opening, to be the leaders within our organizations and within our communities, and to make certain that no other generation of veterans, when they returned home, were treated in the same manner that the Vietnam veterans were treated. That's the legacy that we pay forward. So today, as we gather to recognize our Gold Star families, as we gather to recognize those who still wait for a final accounting of those who come home, let's also always remember that in our midst is a progressively smaller and smaller audience of those Vietnam veterans who came back and said, I don't care how you treated me. I don't care what you did to me. But I'm a United States citizen, and I went to support the ideals and visions of this country. And that I'm back on my home front. We celebrate that tonight. We recognize that tonight. And by bringing the Wall That Heals to your community, you bring that same vision, that same dream of honoring our Vietnam veterans for years and years to come. Thank you very much for the opportunity to bring the Wall That Heals to your community. None of this would have been possible without the vision of that community. None of that would have been possible without the hundreds of volunteers to make it happen. And certainly none of it would have been possible without a leader such as Vice Chancellor McDonald, who stepped forward and said, I have a beautiful place right here on the Great Lawn to do it, and pulled out every stop to make that happen. So please welcome and warmly greet our next speaker, Vice Chancellor McDonald.
Welcome to the Great Lawn of the University of Hawaii West Oahu. Bring greetings and respect from all the leaders, staff, faculty, and students of all 10 campuses of the University of Hawaii, especially here at the University of Hawaii
speaker tonight is Daniel Martinez. He served 44 years, I believe, with the National Park Service. Then he went on to be the chief historian of Pearl Harbor National Memorial and was the lead historian at the Ford Island Aviation Museum. And he tells me he's now writing a book. So please, Dan. Aloha. All veterans. Yes. Vietnam Veterans Memorial Hall is a placement with 50,000 members. Often it is referred to as the wall that heals. This version of the wall is a 3/4 scale replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. that is managed by the National Park Service. It honors the men and women who gave their lives in Vietnam or later died as a result of that service. The traveling exhibit that we're talking about is 375 feet in length and rises to 7.5 feet at its apex. The wall's 140 panels contain the names of more than 58,000 service members. My first experience with the traveling wall was in 1987 when USS Arizona Memorial Visitor Center was the first to host a smaller version on the lawn of the front of the Visitor Center. The keynote speaker for that day was General Frederick Wyand, United States Army, and he was the last commanding general from Vietnam, 1972 to 1973. He served as the 28th Chief of Staff of the United States Army from 1974 to 1976. For me, this wall is personal. Having a friend killed in action and family members that served. My cousins Paul, Joseph, and Steve Gomez served in the United States Army in Vietnam from 1966 to 1968. One in an assault helicopter battalion, another in transportation company, and the third in personnel. Another cousin in my family was Corporal Ernest Perez from Oahu, California. He was killed in action. My childhood friend, PFC Ernie Pinamonte, who was an altar boy with me at St. John System in Inglewood, California. We were best of friends. Unfortunately for Ernie, he was killed in Guantanamo. In 1969. Perhaps Abraham Lincoln, who said these words that have been treasured in American history for over 150 years, apply here on this day of remembrance. From these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause of which they gave their last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. The moving wall meets the promise of Lincoln and his address to a large gathering in a little town called Gettysburg. I want to thank you for this kind invitation. I'm honored to be here and a privilege of addressing you. Thank you. Our next speaker is going to be Natalie Rauch. I'm going to read her bio. She began her life as an Air Force brat in Selfridge Air Force Base, Michigan. Her father was an F-4 pilot. His aircraft was lost over North Vietnam in 1966. Colonel Warren Anderson is still one of the unaccounted for service members. Natalie spent most of her school-age years in Sumter, South Carolina. After college, Natalie taught middle school and high school math for 13 years. She married Harry Rauch. She had recently finished 4 years in the Navy. Then he worked as an Army chaplain for 29 years. Natalie is now a surviving spouse after losing her husband to cancer. She continues to serve military families through her volunteer work in the Hawaii Garrison Chapel community. Natalie.
It is such an honor to be here when I'm looking in this crowd. I see, I mentioned Sumter, South Carolina. I have a friend here, my brother's friend, who I haven't seen in, I'm not going to tell you how many years, but since high school. And I am so honored to have him here. I have Christy Price, who I'm just meeting today for the first time. Her uncle, Albert Trudeau, was recently identified by DPAA, and he's going to be buried at Arlington on March 11th. And then I've got Julie and Oliviera Payton and her family. Their father has his name on the Vietnam Wall. And Sharon, I lost track of where you are. Sharon, her brother is on the Vietnam Wall. I'm going to try to pronounce it. Ralph Falk is her brother. And then, most importantly, my dad flew the F-4. It was a two-seater. So I've got my dad's co-pilot son right here as a guest today with his wife, Gregory. And both of our dads are two of the unaccounted for. And so it just is a reminder that we are all connected. Everybody here, all the people that I've talked to in the last 3 people I can't wait to meet in the next 4 days. So thank you for this opportunity. It's really a blessing. So I wanted to talk about addresses. Like if you think about an address, it's usually where a home is. And the address tells you how to find that house. And, you kind of have to learn I've been here 11 years. You kind of have to learn your Hawaiian vocabulary, and I'm still working on the pronunciations of all the streets, but my GPS gets me those places. But an address tells you where somebody lives. But my dad, he has 4 addresses. He is remembered in Arlington Cemetery at Memorial Section H, Site 271. He's remembered on the wall in DC, panel 60, line 135, and also on the wall that heals right behind me. And he's also remembered at the Court of the Missing right here in Honolulu at Punch Bowl on Court A. If you're facing Lady Columbia, he's on the left side. But the thing about all of those addresses, that's not where you send a letter. That's not where you go home and eat Sunday dinner. These addresses are all just a memory, and I'm hoping someday, I don't know, that our dads will be found. And if they're not, I've already made my peace with God that it's okay. Now don't tell DPAA that, because I want them to still be looking. So, I wanted to tell you that I have a letter that my dad wrote my mom after he proposed to her, and it's dated 4 August 1955, and he said, "Did you ever think what it would be like to be a jet pilot's wife? This flying game is not the safest occupation, and a pilot's wife sometimes has to be very patient and very brave. Think it over real seriously, and then give me an answer. Okay, sweetheart?" So I'm standing here as proof she said yes. And my dad is Colonel Warren Leroy Anderson. He flew the R-4C in Vietnam, his aircraft, and along with James Hale Tucker, and then his son is also James Tucker, was lost on 26 April 1966. Their aircraft was never recovered, and if you hear there are 1,566 still unaccounted for, then that includes my dad. So my mom raised 4 kids on her own, and I was 8. We were 8, 6, 5, and 2. So Ken knows my brothers who were 5 and 2 at the time. I'm the oldest, and yes, that means I'm a little bossy. So it's been an honor this week. Can you believe that our dads flew out of Shaw Air Force Base in South Carolina? Guess what? That's a long way from Capitol. And so when we PCS'd here in 2014, there's my dad's co-pilot's son, and of course his mom, Linda, who's 83 and still kicking. And it's just been an honor to live here on island with them, because we are now family to each other. So on Tuesday, we got to each carry our dad's panel and put it up into the wall that heals, and it really was a very, very moving ceremony. So I just want to tell you one more story, but I also want to say, you guys see gray hair, but inside I'm still that little girl who's waiting for her daddy to come home. So I wanted to tell you about something that happened when we were stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia. If you've ever been there, you might know that that's outside of Columbus, and the paper is the Columbus Ledger-Inquirer. So this is back in the day where, you know, people actually read a print paper, which I loved doing. And so I opened the paper. There's a half-page ad that Hal Moore, and that name might sound familiar. Hal Moore in 1965 was a lieutenant colonel. He was the battalion commander of, I don't remember the name. I should know the name of the battalion, but they were in, that was the I Drang battle, which was one of the first on-the-ground battles of the war. So at the time Hal Moore was still alive, he was going to do a book signing at the Barnes & Noble, and my husband just looked at me and said, get in the car and go. He just knew that I would be very interested in being there. So I get to the Barnes & Noble, and there's a very, very long line. So there's a lady, she's kind of in charge. She is walking down the line. She's given everybody an index card because she wants us to write down who we want it signed to and what we want said. And then that was going to speed up the process when we got up to the front of the line. So I had a lot of time to think about it, and I was like, ooh, I could give this to my husband. And I was like, I was feeling a little selfish that day. And so then I also thought about my brothers, and I was like, no, I'd really like this copy for myself. So I wrote down to Natalie, whose father paid the ultimate price. And so I get up to the front. Hal Moore is left-handed, and he's a man of very few words. He said 3 words to me. Is this you? And I said yes. So, you know, went like this, wrote down some words, handed me the book, and he's on to the next person. So I go to the back of the store, and I open up the book, and he did not do one thing I asked him to do. He wrote down, to Natalie, you will see your father again.
Thank you, Matt. At this time, we would be remiss if we did not pay homage and recognize all those who served in Vietnam and the Vietnam era, and all the Hawaii Gold Star family. So please, round of applause for them. Thank you very much. Our final speaker this evening, paid respect to earlier tonight, our Medal of Honor winner, and I'm just going to read his Medal of Honor citation, and that will be all the introduction he needs. To Gunnery Sergeant Alan J. Kellogg, Jr., United States Marine Corps, for service is set forth in the following citation. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life, above and beyond the call of duty, while serving as a platoon sergeant with Company G, in connection with combat operations against the enemy, on the night of March 11, 1970. Under the leadership of Gunnery Sergeant Kellogg, a small unit from Company G was evacuating a fallen comrade when the unit came under heavy volume of small arms and automatic weapons fire from a numerically superior enemy force occupying well-concealed emplacements in the surrounding jungle. During the ensuing fierce engagement, an enemy soldier managed to maneuver through the dense foliage to position near the Marines, hurled a hand grenade into their midst, which glanced off the chest of Gunnery Sergeant Kellogg. Quick to act, he forced the grenade into the mud in which he was standing, threw himself over the lethal weapon, and absorbed the full effects of its detonation with his body, thereby preventing serious injury or possible death to several of his fellow Marines. Although suffering multiple injuries to his chest and his right shoulder and arm, Gunnery Sergeant Kellogg resolutely continued to direct the effects of his men until all were able to maneuver to the relative safety of the company perimeter. By showing the citation in his life, staying as his comrades, Gunnery Sergeant Kellogg reflected his credit upon himself and upheld the function of the Marine Corps and the United States Naval Service.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good here. Yeah. Thanks, Will. Well, what I got about the only thing I can actually say without freezing to death. It reminded me of the old days when I was in Connecticut. I told my father I'm joining the Marine Corps and I'll never be back because I'm not shoveling no more snow and making no more leaves. And he just shook his head, and I joined the Corps, and I got off that bus in sand down there in Paris Island, and everybody started screaming and everything. And I said, maybe I should have joined the Army. Because I don't think these guys would put up with this kind of stuff. For 2 weeks I figured out how I'm going to get out of this place, because if they've been in Paris Island, I got to check my clock. It's on an island, and there's only one bridge in and one bridge out. And the only thing I could think of is jump in one of those garbage trucks at the dumping spot, and then walk all the way back to Connecticut. But after I started getting a little taste of what the Marine Corps was, I slowly started losing it, and figured, hey, this ain't so bad now. You know, being in the Corps. I went in when I was 17, and I got out when I was 30 years of service in the Marine Corps. And from there, I went to, I worked for the VA for 17 years, and I worked with people in the brig. which was a whole lot. Let me tell you, we had to build another bridge. But things went along pretty good with me with my 30 years in the Corps. I got busted up a little bit and I got fragged, but you know, I ended up getting through that, and then I joined the Marine Corps. I got orders to Vietnam, and I went to Vietnam and entered Fox Company 29 Infantry Ground Forces, and ended up working on hunter-killer teams, where I went out at night because most of the enemy didn't move around in the daytime where they could be seen from the air, and then of course all the air attacks go in after them. So I did most of my work at night, and some were good and some were bad, you know, but I'm still here, and everything is going real good, and I'm glad to be here. I've been here in Hawaii now 40 years, so I should be able to sing that song as long as I've been here. And everybody asked me why I liked Hawaii. I said, "You ever been there?" They said, "No." I said, "You don't ever go, because if you go, you will never come back. You'll stay here." They got, of course, the coldest beer there is, the best looking women, the best weather, and I can't think of anything else. And I'm still here. And when and if I go down that road of no return, I'll end up being with my wife over here in the cemetery in Kaneohe. But that's the way it goes. I'm having a good time here in Hawaii. I do enjoy the boards here. Like I was telling some of the troops here when I was talking to them, that when I was in Vietnam for 2 years, I had 25 veterans killed with me on my unit when we were out fighting, and probably 25 of them are on these boards right here. If I could ever find my box 29 board, yeah, they kept the people that were killed and the dates and everything. If I can find that, I'll never run down. But I'm glad they brought the board wall here, and shows what happened. They get into a war that, you know, sometimes people rush, and then here's what we got on each side of me. But that's the way it goes. So I'd like to thank everybody who showed up tonight, and maybe I'll see you sometime in one of the cars around here.